In this chapter, we're looking at how measurements and color coding turn a digital vehicle inspection into the operating backbone of the shop. Eyeballing a vehicle can feel fast, especially when a technician has years of experience. But fast is not the same as consistent. The moment one technician says a brake pad looks fine and another calls it urgent, the shop creates a gray area that never should have existed. Without a documented standard, the outcome changes with the person holding the flashlight instead of the condition of the car. That inconsistency shows up in the inspection record, in the advisor's conversation, and in what the customer hears. Experienced instinct still matters. It just has to be backed by measurement, visible documentation, and a color standard the whole shop follows. That's the standard behind the anchor idea for this chapter. Same finding, every tech, every car. For the technician, measurement is a promise to the rest of the system. What gets recorded here has to hold up for the advisor, the customer, and the shop. Brake pads get measured. Tire tread gets measured, battery condition gets tested and recorded with actual results, not loose language. Fluid condition matters too, but the note should still describe what the technician observed in a consistent, usable way. When the photo clearly shows the gauge, the reading, or the condition, the inspection record becomes stronger and easier to explain. That gives the advisor defensible information instead of vague comments, and it gives the customer something concrete they can see. A solid DVI entry doesn't just describe the vehicle. It connects measured truth to a documented visual record. Color is not emotion. In a disciplined DVI system, green, yellow, and red are the shop's inspection language. Green means the item is good right now. Yellow means the item is coming up and should be watched or planned for soon. Red means the item is due, past due, failed, torn, leaking, unsafe, or ready to be recommended on today's estimate. Red does not always mean emergency. A torn rear wiper blade may not be urgent, but it is still torn. It has failed its job, so it should be documented, photographed, marked red, and recommended today. That is the point of a standard. The color should follow the condition, the measurement, the mileage, or the risk, not the technician's mood. Not how busy the shop is, not what we assume the customer will buy. When one technician marks the same condition yellow and another marks it red, the shop is no longer speaking one language. Same condition, same color, same documentation. That is how a DVI system stays consistent. For the advisor, the DVI creates a calmer conversation because the starting point is measured information, not opinion. Instead of saying something looks bad, the advisor can show the reading, the photo, and the assigned color tied to the shop standard. That changes the tone of the conversation. We educate. We do not pressure. Customers respond better when they can see what the technician saw and understand why the color was assigned. The advisor's role is to translate the data into plain language, explain urgency honestly, and answer questions without adding drama. Numbers and documentation make that easier because the conversation stays anchored to the vehicle, not to pressure. Here's how the system works when the shop is aligned. The technician measures the condition first. The DVI records that finding with notes, photos, and the right history documentation for the item being inspected. Then the shop's color standard assigns color grade based on amount of life left on the part, not individual interpretation. From there, the advisor explains the finding in clear language and gives the customer what they need to make a decision. That sequence only works when everyone is using the same language from the bay to the front counter. That's why the DVI is more than software. It's an operating backbone built on shared standards. For the owner and manager, measurement discipline is not a technician preference. It is a leadership standard. It also functions as a safety policy because the shop is defining how conditions get identified, documented, and communicated. The standard breaks down the moment experienced exceptions are allowed to bypass the process. If one technician can skip a measurement because they've seen it 1,000 times, the shop has already weakened the system. Selective enforcement teaches the team that standards are optional, and optional standards never stay standard for long. A real standard applies to everyone, every day, on every vehicle that enters the shop. Color inflation happens when a condition gets marked more urgent than the measurement supports. Color softening happens when a real need gets toned down. Both damage the system because both disconnect the color from the actual condition of the vehicle. A premium shop does not dramatize findings, and it does not soften them to avoid discomfort. Instead, the technician documents accurately. The color follows the threshold, and the advisor explains what the customer can see. That protects the consistency of the inspection record in both directions. whether the answer is green, yellow, or red. Measured truth has to drive the color assignment every time. Calibration sessions are where policy becomes practice. This is where the shop checks whether the standard is actually being applied the same way. A strong exercise is simple. Have multiple technicians inspect the same vehicle and record the same category independently. Then compare the measurements, the notes, the photos, and the assigned colors side by side. If the findings don't match, the team has identified drift that needs correction before it reaches the customer. These sessions help owners and managers coach to thresholds instead of coaching to personal opinion. The goal is alignment around one outcome for one condition, no matter who performs the inspection. Watch for the warning signs. Vague notes, inconsistent colors, and missing visible measurements usually mean the standard is drifting. A simple weekly audit can tighten the system fast. Pick one category like brakes or tires. Review recent inspections and look for consistency in measurement, color, and photos. That's how measured truth becomes daily practice instead of good intention. When the whole shop commits to standardized urgency and clear documentation, communication gets stronger from technician to advisor to customer to owner. Same finding, every tech, every car. If a shop can't measure a condition, it can't defend the decision that follows. That's where weak inspections start. Opinion-based notes leave too much room for interpretation because they depend on who wrote them and how the advisor explains them later. Measured findings create a visual record the whole team can work from. That difference is what turns a DVI from a checklist into an operating system for the shop. When the condition is documented the same way every time, communication gets cleaner at every handoff. That's what makes the process reliable on every vehicle that comes through the bay.